Hello everyone, welcome to Anime Know Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Dragon is possibly one of the most powerful characters in the story of One Piece, since he's considered to be one of the most influential people in the world, but we still don't have an idea what his real power is. Because of this mysterious nature he avoids exposing himself at pretty much all times, acting only when it's necessary. And this has also kind of given a mystique to his powers. Possibly, there may only be a few people in the world who actually, in story, know what his real power is. In fact, his power may even be a mystery to the world government, because every time Dragon is mentioned by a Marine or the Gorosei, his power is never mentioned, just his fame and the large army of revolutionaries that he has under his command, which means that only a select few people who have ever faced him during the past know about his real power. However, Oda-sensei may have given a few hints of his powers in his first appearance, and his power may have some relation with the wind element, which indicates that it may be a Logia fruit, but not just a simple Logia, but an awakened fruit. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the possible devil fruit that Dragon possesses, what possible powers his fruit has, and the possible name of his devil fruit. But before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like, or even subscribe with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content. And if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So friends, it's been widely speculated in the community that Dragon is a possible devil fruit user, because there's been several times in the story where there's these winds or just certain kind of weather-related things that happens whenever he tends to show up, and the few times he's acted, we've also seen it be about the wind. But its unknown power may go far beyond just a simple ability to manipulate the wind. It could end up being a Logia fruit with the ability to manipulate the wind and even the clouds in any way Dragon desires. Because what may seem like Dragon's power is not something that we've ever seen related to any other character. But with the appearance of the fruit of the Morimori no Mi, or the forest fruit that we've seen with Ryukugyu, this does open up a possibility that Dragon's fruit could be the fruit of the wind. In the world of One Piece, there are three categories of fruit: the paramecia, that modify a certain part of the user's body, allowing them a unique ability and kind of have the greatest variation where they can produce substances or kind of turn their surroundings into certain substances. We next have the Zoan class, which allows the user to acquire the strength and abilities of a being of this fruit or an animal, having subclasses such as carnivorous, ancestral, and mythical, being where the mythical fruit has the most incredible powers of any Zoan we've seen so far. And finally, we have the Logia, where it gives its user the power of a certain element, being one of the most powerful fruits because of the intangibility it gives to the user and the incredible powers of manipulation of a certain element. For instance, lava, ice, light, gas, or any of the other different ones we've seen presented in our story. As we can see, the Logia is the one that fits most of the characteristics demonstrated by Dragon, because in all of his appearances, we notice that there's always been some certain control over a wind element or even the weather, which means he might have the ability to manipulate this element completely. And we have two examples that can at least confirm or support this idea. In his very first appearance, we see that Dragon was watching Buggy try to take the life of his son Luffy. Now, all of a sudden, there was this windstorm bringing rain clouds to the place, and just as Buggy was about to bring down his sword to take Luffy's light, a lightning bolt falls in the direction of the two. Since Luffy has a rubber body and is not affected by electricity, this made it possible for him to escape without really suffering any damage, while Buggy was temporarily paralyzed because of the lightning received directly into his body. While Luffy was fleeing towards his boat, Smoker chases him down and soon after immobilizes him, pressing his face towards the ground. But Dragon interferes in this capture, and he appears in front of Smoker, and without moving a finger, a huge windstorm starts to happen in the city. But the gale is not something that could have just naturally happened. It's like a great wave of wind that appeared in this specific place and is really quite extraordinary, which means that it could have been the power of a devil fruit, more specifically Dragon's, because he was the only one present who could have done it. The wind wave caused by Dragon was in fact so powerful that it was capable of causing everyone present at that location to be thrown in the opposite direction from where the wind was coming from. Even Smoker was thrown away together with Luffy, which allowed the boy in the straw hat to escape. But the only one who wasn't affected by this gust of wind was Dragon, which further confirms our theory that this is indeed Dragon's power. Another moment that could support that Dragon possesses a wind Logia was when Sabo was hit by a celestial dragon while sailing on his very first adventure as a pirate. After being hit, Sabo falls into the water, but moments later we see that the currents have brought Sabo's body directly to Dragon. And while this is happening, we can see that there are wind effects around Dragon, showing that he could have used his power to make Sabo's body come toward him so that he could save him. And with the introduction of the Morimori no Mi, or forest fruit, this offers up an even greater possibility that this really is Dragon's devil fruit. Because we've seen with Ryokugyu some characteristics of a Logia that were really quite different than what we've been used to. Seeing the wood or nature element as a Logia was something rather quite strange to see, because it's something solid, which means that it may not necessarily give the same ability to become intangible, or like at least just a different twist, which means Oda is thinking outside the box and not limiting himself to just normal elements, which could mean that Dragon has one of the most powerful fruits that's been demonstrated so far. And because of this fruit, his apparently has the ability to manipulate the wind, which means he can manipulate even the air with or without the need of an awakening. And this power wouldn't be limited to just creating big gusts of wind. If we wanted to take it kind of a darker direction, Dragon could even remove the oxygen in a certain area to suffocate his enemies without the need to fight them. Dragon could then make many people lose consciousness without the need to take their lives, besides the other various technique that the fruit could provide, because after all, it is a Logia. Some of Dragon's techniques could even maybe resemble Smoker's, because they have a very similar element. What would change is that Dragon would not have the ability to shape his wind as well as Smoker can shape his smoke. Through this fruit, Dragon would be able to manipulate the wind around, allowing him to bring rain clouds and even really huge waves that could sweep everything away in front of him. In this way, Dragon's powers would be considered that of a weather manipulating deity, able to change the atmosphere of the place in any way he wished. And this would make Dragon someone quite dangerous to confront pretty much anywhere, because his power, even though it's not an element capable of causing, kind of the same injury like fire or lava or light or, some of those other ones we've seen, rather Dragon would be able to use his powers in multiple offensive and defensive ways during the battle to be able to cause injury to his enemies, to take away their, land that they're standing on, to really even just not give them any way to get to him because he could make the wind so powerful. Let's also remember that we've seen that the wind can be used to create sharp waves that might be able to cut his enemies, just like Kaido's attack where he used air waves to try and cut Luffy. So Dragon could end up creating several cutting waves of air to be able to hurt his enemies, and seemingly to do it with great ease since his control over the fruit seems really, really high. After all, the attacks that we've seen covered a really huge area, and he was able to cover an entire city with his power, allowing everyone to get pushed around except him. The fact that he's able to cover such a large area may also demonstrate an idea that Dragon could in fact have an awakened Logia fruit, which enables Dragon to possess even more incredible power. But since we don't exactly know how an awakened Logia would work, it's really difficult to deduce what techniques or what bonuses it would give, any kind of user. But this would also be a really great achievement with a Logia. But if that's the case, Dragon may have been the very first user of an awakened Logia demonstrated in One Piece, because the feat that he demonstrated in the city is something that's never been seen anywhere else in One Piece. The next examples that we got of awakened users was where there was that conflict between Aokiji and Akainu in Punk Hazard, where these two characters were able to completely change the climate of separate halves of an island, where one part was turned into ice and the other into lava. But we also must remember that this confrontation that completely changed the island lasted for days, which allowed the island's climate to be completely changed, while the demonstrated power of Dragon's Logia just happened pretty much instantaneously. This shows that if Dragon had a Logia, it would be much farther superior to Aokiji and Akainu's in terms of mastery, demonstrating that Dragon may possess an awakened wind Logia, enabling him to expand the area of his element and travels wherever he wants. So because of this great power, this would make the Gorosei consider Dragon a huge threat. And if you add on his organization of revolutionaries, where we really don't know the full number and amount of power, he can almost be considered one of the three great pillars in the world. Now, the way it works right now is it was the Yonko, the Marine, and the SSG, and the revolutionaries were never considered to be a part of the pillar because they're a rebel organization that seeks to change the world in a more aggressive way. But if Dragon and his organization were the fourth greatest power in the world, it could make the world government lose its credibility by having its power equaled with that of an organization that really wants to take it down. So to keep the power of the revolutionaries, and especially that of Dragon, hidden, the Gorosei may have avoided spreading to the world the information about the techniques that Dragon possesses, as this would have increased his fame all the more. However, in these most recent chapters of One Piece, the revolutionaries have begun to act as they are inspired by Sabo's action, and this way, Dragon may come to confront the world government to take them off the throne, demonstrating to the world their great power. But with all that said, my friends, I'd love to know what you think about it. Do you think Dragon has a devil fruit and it could be a wind Logia, or is it something else? Could Dragon be, say, something like Uranus? Because we do have an ancient weapon unaccounted for, and Uranus was a sky Sky God, so I don't know, what do you think? Also, as we see the Revolutionary Army getting to stage, what do you think their first goal is going to be? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we bring our video to a close, I want to thank you so much for watching all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.